Lake Chad, a source of water to millions of people in West Africa, has shrunk by 9/10 due to climate change, population growth and irrigation. But can a skim dating back to the 1980s save it? It's a ridiculous plan and it will never happen. That's the reaction many people have to the idea of trying to fill up Lake Chad and restore it to its former ocean-like glory by diverting water from the Congo River system 2,400 kilometers, 1,500 miles, away. Skeptics in Nigeria, who have seen successive governments fail even to make the lights work, wonder if the region's politicians have nodded off and have been dreaming a little too hard. But the government ministers and engineers who were recently sipping mineral water in the capital, Abuja, at the International Conference on Lake Chad had good reason to be thinking outside the box. Lake Chad has shrunk by 90% since the 1960s, due to climate change, an increase in the population and unplanned irrigation. Its basin covers parts of Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon, and has been a water source for between 20 million and 30 million people. But with the desert encroaching further every year, it is getting increasingly difficult for families to make a living through agriculture, fishing and livestock farming. The UN says 10.7 million people in the Lake Chad Basin need humanitarian relief to survive. We used to pass fields of maize on our way to the lake and there were vast numbers of boats bobbing up and down on the water back then, and huge fish markets, says Baal Bura, who grew up by the lake in the 1970s and now works for the Lake Chad Fishermen's Association. Now far fewer farmers are able to earn a living on the mineral-rich but bone-dry shores. This is one reason why the delegates in Abuja decided to disrupt a scheme first mooted back in 1982 by the Italian engineering company Bonifica SPA. It came up with Transacqua, a plan to construct a 2,400 kilometers, 1,500 mile, canal to transfer water from the upstream tributaries of the mighty Congo River all the way to the Shari River Basin, which feeds Lake Chad. Deafening silence had proposed a transfer of up to 100 billion cubic meters, 3.5 trillion cubic feet, of water a year and featured a series of dams along the route to generate electricity. I sent one of our engineers to the USA, to purchase the only reliable maps of Africa, which were made by the US Air Force and were the only maps with contour lines, says Marcello Vicchi, the Italian engineer who was asked to look into the idea during the early 1980s. After a couple of months of solitary study, I announced to the then chief executive that this thing could be done. He says 500 copies of the plans were sent out in 1985 to government representatives of every African country, as well as international financial agencies. The response was a deafening silence, he adds. But more than 3 decades later, minds are finally focusing on the lake's shrinkage, prompted by its link to the deadly geopolitical crises of Islamist militancy and migration.